Good morning, and welcome to another Writer's Morning Commute with Ashton Gaskill. So, the big story in storytelling news is Star Wars Episode 8, which was unexpectedly a very polarizing movie. I thought I would talk about some reasons I personally liked it a lot and try to address some of the more common complaints I've seen. So there will be spoilers for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, in this episode. And then, depending on how far I get today, I might continue with a more storytelling analysis breakdown on Thursday. So the first thing I want to say, a lot of people are complaining about Leia using the Force and surviving out in space and then flying back to the spaceship. So I'm going to break down those three things. First of all, we know Leia could use the Force at the end of Episode 6, and it's been 20 years, more than that, since then. And for a while, quite a while, she was with Luke. So to say that she couldn't use the Force seems weird, or that she could only do this little bitty thing before. Well, yeah, because she had just found out she could use it. I don't think it's crazy to imagine that she learned how to do simple Force pulling. It would have been nice in Episode 7 for us to be shown that, if we had known that she could do simple things with the Force before that moment. But still, I don't think it's breaking the believability aspect. As for this surviving in space, current scientific theory, as I understand it, is that human beings can survive for about 15 seconds out in space before they suffer irreparable damage. It's going to be rough on them. Like, they might almost die, as we see Leia do. She's almost dead at one point from this. But, I mean, it is possible. Also, some people are saying that it seemed longer than that. Not necessarily in direct response, but I don't think that... I think time there was kind of slowed down for dramatic effect, so I don't think it's too crazy to say that it might have been less than 15 seconds. As far as her flying goes, whenever people use the Force, we've seen before that, like, if they force pull or push on something, in certain circumstances, it can move them. Like if they push too hard, especially when someone else is also force pushing on the object, as we saw with Kylo and Rey pulling on the lightsaber, it can actually, or pushing on the lightsaber, I'm not sure which one they were doing, but they both moved away. Maybe that was just them pushing each other, but I feel like we've seen that before. So to think that she force pulled on the spaceship, but she was too weak to actually move the spaceship, so that pull just pulled her closer instead. Like, it didn't seem like flying to me. It just seemed like she was pulling on the door and they moved together. So that aside, Luke was not what people wanted him to be. As others have pointed out, after a 20-year hiatus, hermitage, Yoda went from has-it-together senator to little drunk frog thing. And he was that little drunk frog thing for quite a while. Like, being alone and isolated socially did not have good effects on him. And it seems to be the same for Luke. If anything, I don't think Luke was as bad as Yoda, but he also hadn't been gone as long. So as far as that goes, that doesn't really bug me too much. I've also heard complaints that people were saying that the storyline didn't make sense. As far as the space chase being necessary at all, and them not telling Poe anything. My recollection, from having only seen it once, was that the leadership of the rebellion, or whatever they're calling themselves, thought that they had a traitor on board, so they couldn't tell anybody the plan. But that made Poe and Finn think that the leadership was inept and too cowardly to try something desperate. So when Rose found out and realized that how they had tracked them through hyperspace, and it wasn't a traitor, they had to do their plan in secret. So they couldn't tell the leadership about their secret plan, and the leadership couldn't tell them about the actual plan. Which all, of course, accumulated in a nice bit of dramatic irony, as the secret plan actually ruined the actual plan. The actual plan would have worked otherwise. So those are some of the bigger complaints I heard. Let's also remember that Star Wars has always been a camp fest. So hopefully that gives you some things to think about. I love the movie. I suggest you go see it. Thanks for riding with me. I hope you have a great day.